Hi everyone, my name's James Arvanitakis. I'm an academic at the University of Western Sydney, and I've been asked by the wonderful folk at Vibewire to make this short recording about what I see as being some of the important issues in the election. I think the most commentators agree that this election is actually sort of standing out for not standing out. There's so many big issues. It feels that Australia's at the crossroads on issues such as sustainability, on issues as our global responsibility around issues such as climate change, our responsibilities around refugees, the future direction of our cities, and the type of Australia we want to live in. They're all issues that need to be addressed, but that they seem to be left behind in this election. So that's what I think has marked this election, is its unremarkability, which is kind of really sad. One of the issues I think that one of the issue I'll concentrate on today will be just the issue around sustainability and specifically on population growth. Now, what's happened in the last few months, especially over the election cycle, has been this discussion around what's a sustainable population of Australia. How many people do we want to live here? The previous Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, talked about a big Australia. Talked about 50 million people. Since then, since Julia Gillard's taken over, she's talked about a smaller Australia. What I want to argue is that this focus on the number and equating that to sustainability is actually a silly thing to do. It makes no sense at all. I'll put it simply. If you're an Aboriginal person, Indigenous person in 1788 and watched the first fleet of white folks turn up, you probably would have thought the 5,000 people on those boats were way too many to sustain sustainability. So there's no equation between numbers and sustainability. Sustainability has got to do much more with not only numbers. Sure, numbers play a role, but it's also got to do with resource usage, the structure of our society, how we actually manage those resources, all those types of things. So it's not just this one-dimensional look at a certain number equals sustainability. The way that we currently use our resources, you can turn around and say, well, the percentage or the number that we have at the moment is way too much. So I think that that focusing on sustainability as an issue of numbers is problematic for three reasons. The first is, as I indicated, it doesn't concentrate on the way that we use resources. It equates numbers with resource use. What we should really be concentrating on is how we want our economy and our society and our country structured. So, for example, should we be growing cotton in Australia? Should we be growing rice in Australia? Two very intensive resource crops, water-intensive crops in a very dry continent. So it's not about resource, it's not about numbers of people, it's about how we're using our resources. The second thing is, no one ever talks about how we're going to limit population size. Does this mean that do we now limit the number of children that people have? Do we ignore our obligations on our international obligations when it comes to refugees? Do we stop migration on, say, economic grounds? What happens with family reunions? These are all really difficult questions to ask, and I don't think that people are willing to, to sort of talk about cutting migration numbers in a very sort of simplified way. It doesn't solve that problem. The third thing is population is a global problem, and displaced people is a global problem. We can't just sit there and say, oh, if we limit the numbers that Australia takes, it'll solve it. What's this mean for the world? We're part of a globalised world, and we need to act in that way. So I find it quite ludicrous that this simple sustainability equals population size equation has been pushed by both major parties, and I think it actually simplifies a very complex debate. I hope that helps with some of your analysis, and I'll probably make another one of these, so I'll see you soon. Bye.